You can't talk to me.
I don't want to.
Why? I'm harmless enough. So I've failed, really. I've tried to speak to them in English and in Hebrew. I even tried German for a bit, but they won't do it. They have no interest in talking to me whatsoever. So let's go and talk to some people who may talk to us.
We were finishing the flooring of the house. All that was left was for us to move in. We were going to move in 2 days later. They got in here before us and stayed. Since then, we've been living in a rented house.
The settlers claim they bought the house legitimately, and I've no doubt unscrupulous Palestinian landlords do sometimes sell the same property twice. But this was not even a Jewish part of town. As we filmed, tensions rose between the Palestinian family and the soldiers. Mohammed, who we had interviewed earlier, was arrested.
How old is this boy? 15?
We realised that to a degree we had created this situation. The Palestinians are, in general, acutely aware of a world watching from beyond the checkpoints. Things calmed down when we shut the camera off. Later, Mohammed was taken away by the police. He was released the following day, but it was impossible not to contrast his treatment with that of the settler kids Hani and his neighbours had filmed. Here in Hebron, the conflict on the West Bank is seen at its starkest and most tense. And the Israeli security forces scarcely make even a pretense of the even-handedness between the two communities that one would expect from a democratic state.
Israel's support from the West depends upon the fact that it's a liberal democracy, and in many ways, of course, it is a liberal democracy, certainly far, far more democratic than any of the Arab states which surround it. But is it democratic when you come to a town like Hebron and you see the two sections of people dealt with in so different and so cruelly different a way? The thousand upon thousand of Arabs who've been living here since time immemorial, whose lives are disrupted and they're subject to humiliations and beatings and imprisonments, all in the name of 250 or 500 illegal Jewish settlers whom the army protects. That seems to me a fundamental flaw in the notion that Israel is a truly democratic state in the way we think of it.
I confronted the Deputy Defence Minister about the situation in Hebron.
Wouldn't it be simpler to get those settlers out of Hebron?
At the moment, we are doing our best to impose law and order in Hebron, and especially to monitor the activity of those settlers who take provocative actions against their neighbors.
Well, they took a house only a month or so ago.
Not a month ago, 2 weeks ago, and we are now preparing the evacuation of this building.
In fact, the settlers are still living there despite being served an eviction order. Throughout the West Bank, settlements continue to expand. The Israelis say they will eventually withdraw, as they have done already from the Gaza Strip. But they say the wall will probably form the eventual border, with most of the larger Jewish settlements annexed to Israel. A glance at the map shows what a shrunken, encircled Palestinian state this would leave. It's widely assumed Israel will also retain the area along the border with Jordan. The Israelis hold out the possibility of a land swap, but it's not clear what this would involve. As my journey through the West Bank came to an end, Mahmoud, the mayor and schoolteacher I'd met earlier, organised a demonstration against the wall.
We are going to pray here in the land, and then we are going to have a march through this road, which means that we are going to close the road of the settlement in a non-violent way.
The focus of the march was this house, which will be cut off from its land by the wall, despite the fact that its owner has a 30-year-old Israeli court order guaranteeing him possession. As the march got underway, the Israeli military firmly asserted its presence and its control, and indeed its self-restraint. It was left to Mahmoud, megaphone in hand, to restrain the hotheads on the Palestinian side.
There is internal discussion about to stop or to walk, and some people want to continue, some people want to stay and to stop the jeep. And you see, it's just different opinions about local things, but it's normal, it's normal.
All people say, no good morning, no good night. Israel, we will fight.
The divisions among the Palestinians were all too obvious. Moderates like Mahmoud know that their only real hope lies in an appeal to the international community.
Daily we receive emails, we receive phones that we are with you, you did well, we read an article in this journal or this, or we saw something on the TV. This is very nice. This is our weapons against the wall.
Violence has got the Palestinians nowhere, and their aim now is to use Israel's membership of the Western Democratic Club of Nations against it, shaming it into ending the occupation. It may be a cynical propaganda ploy, but it's a smart one. As I left the West Bank, I remained an admirer of the Israelis' ability to create a modern, efficient state in the midst of a thoroughly unmodern and inefficient region. But the bald fact is, under international law, the West Bank is not theirs, and they should not be there. The tragedy for Israel is that the occupation is not only destroying Palestinian society, it is also eroding the fundamental decency of the state that David Ben-Gurion created 60 years ago. For years, Israel contented itself with fulfilling 2 of Ben-Gurion's 3 criteria for the country. Israel was truly Jewish and truly democratic, and as such it had our unqualified respect. But in attempting to fulfill that 3rd, more contentious goal of a greater Israel, the other 2 were undermined. As Ben-Gurion himself knew, they were always mutually exclusive. As we've seen, Israel's occupation of the West Bank is coarse, spiteful, discriminatory, and at times brutal. This is not what democracies are supposed to do.
Live-in childcare has reached new heights in the UK. Cutting Edge meets the au pairs next on 4.